This is Weirdly Enough, your regular podcast for strange stories and amazing facts, delivered straight to your favorite podcast directory and at weirdlyenough.com. Now, here are your hosts, Andy and Len.
Thank you. Yes, we're back again. It's Weirdly Enough. We are both dosed up on those special extra strength paracetamols because we both had quite interesting evenings. And different, you were away off somewhere, I was anyway, not together. We didn't go out on some mad media fueled party, but yeah, we're dosed up on the paracetamol and we're going to get through McKamey Manor. Is what we're talking about today. Tell me, I'm joined with Len. First of all, sorry, this is started off haphazardly, but why not?
We're fueled by espresso. We'll just keep pressing on.
Those professional podcasters would have restarted again, but we're 40 seconds into it. I'm not doing all that again. I'm not sitting through all that chat.
I think the amateurness is part of the charm, though, with us.
Yes.
If that's a word.
Remember, you can get in touch with us on the socials. We're Weirdly Enough PC on Twitter. We're also on Facebook. You can search for us there. Do like and subscribe. Leave a review if you can, wherever you get your podcasts. It all helps. And we have a weekly podcast every Monday. It comes out, weirdly enough, and then we have our weird shorts, just a little bite-sized podcast to get you ready for the weekend that comes out on a Friday. So today it's all about McKamey Manor.
It's gonna be pretty dark.
Okay.
Just actually referencing last night, I was out with some people in the town.
The town, okay.
Right.
Wherever that is.
And they were asking me, what are you doing with your podcast tomorrow?
Okay.
What are you doing? And I says, well, McKamey Manor. And they said, well, what's that?
Yes.
And I said, like, it's kind of like, you know, it's an extreme haunted house.
Okay.
Which apparently is a big thing in America.
Yeah.
So they're all like dead and intrigued, and they were like, oh, is it like kind of like an escape room? And I was like, well, yeah, it is, sort of. And then I proceeded to describe some of the stuff that goes on McKamey Manor, and interest turned to horror, basically.
Horror, yeah.
And faces froze.
Yes.
Because it is pretty dark. So do you want to hear a little bit more about this?
I'm looking at pictures actually from McKamey Manor. Jeez, it looks weird. But yes, people put themselves through it. What is it, first of all? Is it a real haunted house? Because people say it's a haunted... No, it's not. It doesn't have ghosts and stuff in it. It's not a real haunted... So it's kind of like an adult version of the ghost train that you used to get up in Barry's or at an amusement park.
It's very adult, and in fact, like, basically, if you ever seen any of those, what they call those sort of torture porn films, like Saw... and things like that.
Right. I didn't want to start talking about porn.
It's not. It's just what they call the genre.
Okay, right.
You know, we're talking legitimate cinema things here.
Yes.
But anyway,
I was starting to wonder, like, what are you searching?
It's kind of like a wee bit like a real life version of that.
Okay. Right.
So there's a quote here from Russ McKamey himself: "100% fair. We're good at that, and we're the best at it." As a film director, everything I'm doing is geared towards capturing magic Kodak moments.
Yes. Okay.
Now, it's described by a 2018 Guardian article as a San Diego suburban house smelling of dog pee. Now, unbelievably, as of 2018, there's a waiting list of 27,000 people wanting to be terrorised in this place.
Does he charge for it? Or is
no.
It
all you need to do is bring some food for the dogs.
Yes.
Now, there's some quite funny Google reviews, which I think are a bit tongue-in-cheek. Somebody said, the staff were so thoughtful, and I even gave the kids and I a free haircut.
Oh, that's nice.
So I think that's a wee bit tongue-in-cheek. And there's, as of the Guardian article in 2018, the manor had been going for about a decade. So the challenge is quite simple. You last to the end of the 8-hour tour, and you're guaranteed to win a cash prize of $20,000 US.
Well, that's not too hard to get through in 8 hour. That's like a day's work, really, and you get 20,000.
20,000.
So, how many people have got through this then?
Now, online in the Reddit message boards, the rumours of one hard case who was alleged to be a serving US Marine who endured the torments of the manor for 6 hours.
6 hours?
And then he cracked.
He nearly got there and he cracked.
Yeah. Like I said, the price of a tear is a bag of dog food, but the problem is no one's ever made it right to the end.
How does this guy make his money then?
Well, this is part of the mystery of it.
Okay, right.
It's run by the genial figure of Russ McKamey, and Russ has lived many lives. He's been a theatre studies student, a US Navy veteran, and a wedding singer.
A wedding singer. Okay.
And he's also infamous for running McKamey Manor, which is a nightmare to some and the ultimate haunted house experience to others. He's been described as the so-called sickest man on YouTube. Very alarming images, by the way.
Yeah, I'm looking through the pictures on McKameymanor.com.
Some more quotes. Everyone is so blasé about what happens in the world. They need a safe release. And it's about creating a cinematic experience and making people feel they're living their own horror movie. Movies can't fill us anymore. It's really hard to get emotions out of people. It's a survival horror boot camp. So I suppose that's maybe, good lord.
Yeah.
I'm just getting distracted by some of those images. Kind of horrendous. It's a survival horror boot camp. I was telling some of the guys last night about this because they're madly intrigued. Yeah. So I gave them some edited highlights of what was going on, and they just turned white and were horrified, and were like,
yeah.
And the thing they were asking me, the thing that bewildered them was the 27,000 people looking to get into it.
Yeah.
And I said, like, you say in the modern world, people are so alienated or blasé, as Russ McKamey would say. It's a way to kind of get the adrenaline pumping and sort of kind of make you feel alive.
How many sessions? Like, is it a daily thing or is it?
Weekends.
Weekend.
Only at the weekends, yeah. Now, Russ McKamey says, we were initially pretending to cut hair, but the YouTube critics said, yeah, fake. So thanks to the naysayers, we had to ramp it up and bring more reality to it, and every year it got more crazy and more aggressive. We wouldn't be infamous if we weren't able to deliver the product. There's two notorious things. There's the trip to the kitchen.
The kitchen,
where you're made to like eat maggots and bugs and horrible things, and also the trip to the barber, where you get your head and your eyebrows shaved off.
Right.
And there's a quote here. He says, "Pretty soon it becomes real. There's no break. It's non-stop. The whole goal is to get you exhausted, so we have better control over you."
Brilliant.
2015, Rory Carroll, a journalist for The Guardian, followed 3 participants on a tour. The winning victims are clad in onesies.
Yeah.
And they're waiting in a country lane for Russ and his cronies to pick them up. Now, I'm thinking it's probably to keep their clothes from getting damaged, but also to humiliate them as well, by making them look foolish. And it's part of Russ's mind games. Now, there's a Christina Buster, who was a 44-year-old logistical analyst working for the US government in Kuwait. Now, apparently, she had spent the past year taunting Russ and his staff on the socials and saying, "Oh, you're a bunch of pussies and you're soft and you're no good." So there's a quote from her. She says, "Last time was brittle. I've come back to test my limits, push myself further. I'm nervous and I'm scared. I'm expecting to be torn limb from limb. To get it worse, I'm probably going to regret it big time." Now there's a Spencer Crane, just 19, a former actor at the Manor and hoping to become a DEA agent. And Beth Hippo, a nursing student who's wearing a beige teddy bear onesie. Now, there's some worrying comments from some of the guards in this, or actors, I should say, in this article.
Are they all volunteers then?
They're all volunteers, yeah. Now, there's a guy called Andrew Sweeney, and he says, "I'm not going to lie, I go hard on the big guys. I got 3 kids, a lady, and 6 dogs. A lot going on in my life.
I got a lady.
This is a great de-stressor."
Right.
So this is kind of slightly scary because he's de-stressing by torturing those people, which isn't probably not good. And there's a list of the gear that he has ready for the hapless guests in the Manor. His tools today include plastic restraints, a rope, and a robust-looking airtight plastic bag which fits snugly over an adult human head. Another actor is a guy called Ryan Lawrence. He has his face painted kabuki white with coal black rings around the eyes. "I'm the enforcer," he smiles. "I'm here to make sure that no one makes it out. I get carried away."
Right.
I don't really have a line.
I don't really have a line?
Yeah.
What does he mean?
Doesn't really have a line that he won't cross.
Yeah. Alright, okay.
It all kicks off with alarming speed. 1 minute the guests are stood in the sunshine in the lane in their onesies. Next, they're on their knees, hands bound with masking tape wrapped around their heads. And the actors alternate between dunking their victims in stinking swamp water, verbally destroying them, and proceeding to rip clumps of their hair out of their scalp by the roots, as Russ gives them the introductory speech.
They must have quite a lot of things that people sign.
Yes, this is the infamous
consent forms.
The waiver form. They're dragged one at a time to McKamey, and he films, and he's got like a GoPro and all,
Right,
and he gets like right in their face, and they have to read the liability waiver form. And there's all things like participant fully understands that at many times they will be in a panic state of anxiety, in which they would feel they will drown and they may die. I'm just going to go through quickly some of the things on this waiver form.
The waiver's 40 pages long.
Yes, I'm going to give you some highlights here quickly. Number 20, participant agrees and understands that your life in reality is not in danger and this is just a game. Participant understands and agrees that they're never being held against their will. Participant understands and agrees that they're not being beaten up, kicked, slugged, or actually physically harmed.
Right, okay.
Even though they sort of are. You will be roughed up, but no one is there to hurt you. Knowing that McKamey Manor is very rough and not for the meek, participant will have bumps, bruises, possible black eyes, swelling of the face, etc.
Okay.
So, right, they're not being beat up, but they might have a big swollen face and a black eye.
Oh, but that's alright.
But that's alright. Participant agrees to his full knowledge that if selected to visit the barber, participant may leave McKamey Manor completely bald, including eyebrows.
Okay.
Participant agrees and acknowledges that mouse traps are used within the tour, which may result in bruising, cutting, or breaking of fingers.
Wow, that's only a breaking of a finger, yeah.
This is proper horrendous stuff, some of this. Number 19, participant was warned numerous times about the intensity of McKamey Manor and by the owners and other members of the crew that you really don't want to do this. Participant agrees that if selected they could be buried alive under 12 feet of dirt and rock, to which they have a limited supply of air and they will have to figure out how to escape, and they could possibly breathe in a significant amount of dust, dirt and or foreign objects, which may cause death if participant does not breathe properly or hold their breath at the right time. Now, have you ever heard of fish hooking?
No.
It's one of their specialities in McKamey Manor. Participant fully understands and agrees that they may be fish hooked, which may inadvertently cause rippage to the mouth area. That's when the actors come up behind them and using their fingers like this, hold, like a fish hook, will yank their mouths open, and quite often their lips and all split, and like they get bruised because it's so rough, Participants fully understand and agree that medication may be given that induces hallucinations or sedatives given in pill form or by hypodermic at McKamey Manor's discretion.
I don't understand how they get away with all this, but I suppose it's because they're getting people to sign it.
Because apparently it's all legal because they're signing it. It's their consent to do this, it's pretty mad, some of this stuff. Where were we?
You cannot. It says here you cannot in any way return the contact. So if people push you around and stuff, you can't push them. If that happens, then you're chucked out.
You're not allowed to cuss.
No, cussing.
Or you say anything sexual because he's very moralistic.
Okay.
Now Russ is the master of ceremonies, cum ringleader of the tormentors. As the guests of the manor, beaten, tied up, half drowned, force-fed insects and filth, and have their heads shaved. The team of actors sustain themselves with chocolate chip cookies on their breaks from the torment sessions. Young Kane breaks first, managing a mere 3 hours. Bruised and with his face swollen from the beatings that don't take place, but they sort of do.
Yeah.
He sobs and begs Russ for mercy as Russ keeps the camera rolling for the YouTube punters, and there's quite an extensive lot of stuff on YouTube you can watch.
Seems to be a lot on YouTube.
Yes, it's kind of a genius in a way. Like, now young Ken says, "Please, Russ, I'm done. No, it's horrible." Hippo lasts 4 hours. That is actually pretty impressive. Like 4 hours. The day's winners, Buster, who endured 4.5 hours of hell. She's rewarded with the team's applause and an M&M.
An M&M.
And even Russ is impressed, dubbing Buster a tough chick. Now, the Guardian reporter goes for a sissy induction into the manor, and it's basically they tip balaclavas to the heads of Rory, the man from the Guardian, and May Ryan, his colleague, and they have to like climb through what they call a rot run, which is like these kind of cages, and they kind of get shouted at and stuff, but it's kind of like a bit of a kind of entry level thing.
Okay,
like
the
horror, like,
entry level.
But I think we'll finish off in a little minute because we don't want this to go on too long, and it's a vast topic. Now, some participants have claimed they were forced to give positive video interviews. Laura Hart's Brotherton was told she had to prove her loyalty to Russ McKamey in the manor by performing some simple tasks. And Laura claims that when she arrived at the tour, Russ was cold to her. Things escalated, and what he was annoyed at is that Laura had been cheating on her boyfriend with a number of members of the McKamey Manor Facebook group, which Russ objected to, because he's very moral kind of guy, like, you know. And after a verbal dressing down, Russ put Laura through a series of trials, including but not limited to the following. She was blindfolded with duct tape and submerged underwater by her ankles for so long that her body started involuntarily thrashing.
Right.
The actors made her dig a shallow hole in a patch of dirt with her bare hands. Then they made her lie in it while they covered her face with dirt, leaving her only a straw to breathe through. And there's a quote here. The dirt started to go into my throat and I started to swallow it. I'm coughing and I keep saying I need water. And they would just splash water in my face. They wouldn't actually give me water. This went on for, I want to say, 20 to 30 minutes. Do you fancy going?
I just don't understand why people put themselves through all this.
Well, I had a debate about this last night. I said, it's like, well, why do people jump out of planes? And, you know, it's why do people do anything next round, I suppose. At one point, Laura says they start... This is horrendous. This is like something from Guantanamo, only worse. At one point, Laura says they started scraping at her new McKamey Manor tattoo with what felt like a file.
Right.
And that's when she broke.
Yeah.
So they were just literally kind of mutilating her, basically, like, you know. She ended up in hospital with the various injuries she had sustained on the tour, and to this day she's kind of got mental health issues and stuff. So
I'm not surprised.
There's a lot of whistleblowers in the socials. If you Google McKamey Manor, you'll see loads of criticism. YouTube, Reddit, Twitter all host a number of critical voices. There's a big forum on Facebook called The Truth about McKamey Manor, and it's kind of a lot of kind of comments on that. One major line of criticism here is that Russ and his crew are not in any way trained, and essentially don't know what they're doing from a health and safety point of view. Yeah, because they're not medically trained. They haven't done a health and safety training or anything, like, you know. One contributor writes, the possible consequences such as dry drowning or possible damage to the lungs were never explained. If actors weren't aware of these consequences and possible life-threatening situations, it's fair to say that they had no idea what they were doing. The actors were never told what to do in certain situations. For example, how to properly approach someone who's having a panic attack or loses consciousness. So what do you think about that?
Very odd. I see a load of articles here. Here's one in the San Diego Union Tribune about the victims speaking out, and there's lots of watchdog articles and stuff. But it goes on, and people want to do it. So yeah, there you are, McKamey. McKamey. Well, I suppose you'll see it on the title of this podcast anyway. But if you want to look for it, McKameymanor.com is their web address. We'll be back with our weird shorts just right after this. I love stories like this. You get them all the time now in the weirdness circles. I think we could do an entire episode on this. It's people on social media that claim to be from the future and claim to have shown what life would be like in the future or something. That's the idea of time travelers from the future coming back to warn us of impending doom. And they do it on social media. A time traveler called @TimeVoyagin, Voyagin, has taken the rather modern approach of using TikTok. And why not? I'm sure a time traveler would be all over modern fads like TikTok. The mysterious poster has uploaded photos purporting to show the start and end of World War III, which apparently is coming soon. Apparently the conflict will be so severe the human race that survivors will have to leave the planet. Although he doesn't kind of explain how that's achieved after this Armageddon. We're going to all leave the planet.
What's their name again?
@TimeVoyagin.
Is that Twitter?
TikTok.
Oh, Jesus.
This series of photos start with a huge explosion over an unidentified city before showing similar images and a final image with the Earth completely destroyed. But having a wee look at the photos, to be honest, the graphics are actually better in something like Microsoft Flight Simulator. You know, it's so obviously just some computer mock-up. So I wouldn't lose much sleep. I don't think it's going to happen.
But maybe it's so post-apocalyptic it's made computers more primitive.
What do you mean?
Well,
he says these are photographs, but they're not.
Oh, right.
They're obviously blocky, artificial intelligence.
Maybe everyone's a bit crap in the future, so it's like that's why it looks so primitive.
Maybe. Well, it's the World Cup time again. Very strange to have it coming up at Christmas instead of summer. I don't really think it works anyway. Every time there's a World Cup, the tabloids are filled with animals who are claimed to be able to predict the scores and outcome of the tournament. And back in 2010, we had Paul the Octopus, who predicted 12 out of the 14 results, which was a pretty good success rate. Other World Cup predicting animals have included Manny the parakeet, Petty the pygmy hippopotamus, and Anton the tamarind. So this year's final was no different. Now the predictors take a ferrety form. This is a ferret that's going to predict the World Cup. Apparently the psychic powers of Kenny the ferret have already been put to the test when he predicted that England would lose to Iran. He had 3 bowls of food labelled win, lose or draw, and he looked at the win bowl first of all and then he went on to the lose bowl. But of course England beat Iran 6-2. So I don't really think he's up to the task. But there you go, Kenny the predicting ferret. And have you heard of HMS Warrior?
No, what's that?
It's an old warship that's... she was the first ever warship to be armour plated. She set sail in 1861 but never fired a single shot in anger, finally being decommissioned about 30 years later. The ship now resides in Portsmouth, and since 1987 it's been used for Christmas parties, weddings and school trips. But paranormal investigators say they believe there may be some demonic spirits haunting the vessels. Although the ship spent its life during peace times, Mr. Ferguson, a paranormalist, claims that when he took a group of ghost skeptics onto her, they encountered hisses and voices saying, "Get out, leave," and other strange banging sounds. Ferguson isn't a stranger to investigating ghosts at Portsmouth shipyards. He claims he once encountered the ghost of Frances Nelson, the wife of Admiral Nelson, while exploring HMS Victory, the ship where Nelson was killed during the Battle of Trafalgar. He isn't alone in claiming to find spooky goings-on aboard HMS Warrior. Another group behind the website Spooky Things has described signs of supernatural activity aboard the vessel. And this one's about potty training. This is the last one we're going to do today. All parents know the enormous and often messy challenges of potty training their progeny. However, for one kid from North Tyneside, things got a little out of hand. Kay Stewart has been trying to potty train her daughter when the child yelled, "Mommy, I'm stuck." Oh, that's not a very good Northwest accent, but the mother's efforts to free the toddler who had become stuck in the toilet seat were in vain, and Miss Stewart had to call for outside assistance in the form of Town and Wear's Fire and Rescue Services. The firefighters used small tools to dislocate child and loo seat, and soon all was well. The firefighters even gave the other kids a light show with their fire engine. Station manager Trevor Sturrock praised the team, saying he was glad to assist the family and hoped Harper would continue with her potty training without incident. "I want to thank the crew for their professionalism at this incident. Sometimes when you turn up, people are really panicked, and it's about remaining calm and calming others." So there you go. Sorry, the weird stories are a bit thin on the ground, but that's what we had. I thought they were weird enough.
I thought they were good enough, yeah.
We'll be back again next week. What's it all about next week? Do you know yet?
A take on the flat earth. Will not do the whole thing. It's a vast thing. Okay. But it's kind of like how the modern thing of the flat earth came to be.
Oh, brilliant. Yeah. Flat Earth, that's coming up next week. Do remember to subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. We're also on YouTube. You can find us there. Do subscribe, and you'll get us whenever we release a new podcast. Absolutely obvious. Thank you for listening. Talk to you soon.
Thanks for listening to Weirdly Enough. Remember to subscribe to get the latest edition as soon as it drops. And don't forget to leave a review. Email us about anything we've discussed or with your own weird tale at podcast@weirdlyenough.com.